That's the thing you end up losing out on. You know what I mean? So, whereas a conventional ledger records the transfers of actual bills or promissory notes that exist apart from it, the blockchain is the only place that Bitcoins can be said to exist in the form of unspent outputs of transactions. Now, what that means is that blockchain is the only record of what exactly happened there, which is good and bad, because it's the one way you have definite proof, or the loose terms of definite in this world, that transaction indeed happened. So if there's any dispute, boom, you have right here only one thing, and it's this, and it was recorded right then. In that moment. I'm getting excited. Nerd money. That might be a t-shirt. Hashtag nerd money. Get into the Bitcoin game and Bitcoin and content. That's all I'm gonna be doing in the future, right? Bitcoins and content. No, but yeah, hashtag nerd money. No, but really, that basically also means that in the event that someone does figure out a way to manipulate this software, then it takes away all of the value in these blocks and the blockchains, because if you can just manipulate it in that way, then your money's worth, it doesn't mean anything anymore. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of, but see, then again, a lot of people gonna argue that we honestly having the same issue with gold right now. I mean, right? I mean, money is becoming worth less because we keep printing more and valuing it against the exact same amount of gold that we already had anyway, right? I mean, yeah, money, we moving, we got stuff coming in and out, but at the same time, everybody knows that our money is worth less than it should really be worth, and a lot of times, government like to be flexing on how much money we really got, you feel me? So, I can't talk about this piece of technology without definitely mentioning that, it was invented. They don't know if it was one person or a group of people, but it's an entity with the moniker Satoshi Nakamoto, and of course it's open source software, which was released in 2009. So of course, most of us, this isn't our first hearings of Bitcoin. I've been hearing about Bitcoin since a little bit after I graduated high school, which is in 2008. So I'm not completely unfamiliar with hearing about it, but it's just so many things on the internet that are super scamola, you know what I mean, that you never really know what to even allow yourself to believe anymore. But this Bitcoin thing has been getting a lot of current coverage in the internet news cycle lately. So that's one of the things that brought it to my attention so well, because it seems that the media is beginning to get behind Bitcoin and push it as well. Like, it's starting to be accepted by certain major retailers and people that do online, as well as a few brick and mortar services. Another thing about Bitcoins is that they're saying, just because they're calling it digital gold. I don't remember if I mentioned that on episode 1, but they are calling it digital gold. And much like gold, there is supposedly a finite number of Bitcoins. Now, another thing I want to mention about Bitcoins that I also saw on the Wikipedia page that I thought was interesting to bring up was the fact that the Bitcoins are created as a reward for a process known as mining. Now, a good bit of what I'm saying is just me, reading out the Wikipedia page, but let's be honest here. That's like a bunch of less words that you gotta read in order to understand a little bit more about Bitcoin. Now, if you want to do some more research on Bitcoin, you already got a jumping off point, and you ain't got to stop at the first stop, which is just reading the Wikipedia page. But it's rewarded by a process known as mining, and mining is a record keeping service done through the use of a computer process power. use of computer processing power. Miners keep the blockchain consistent, complete, and unalterable by repeatedly verifying and collecting newly broadcast transactions into a new group of transactions called a block. Each block contains a cryptographic hash of the previous block, using the SHA-256 hashing algorithm. I was about to say hashing Instagram. I was really about to say hashtag Instagram, and that would have made absolutely zero fucking sense. But all that basically means it's an algorithm that contains secretly interpretable messages from the previous block, so it kind of keeps each block from being able to see each other's information while still being linked together. And miners may aggregate mining process. Come on. You know how sometimes you be like reading something on your phone, and then it like in the middle of it, because you haven't touched your phone in a minute, it just decides to like just shut off. Sometimes it's like I'm going to catch so much shit for this joke, but sometimes it's like how women are. Like if you just sit there and you look at them and you don't give them the amount of attention they feel like they want right there, and they just like completely get pissed off and don't want to deal with you anymore. Oh man. But miners may aggregate mining resources in a mining pool. To be accepted by the rest of the network, a new block must contain a so-called proof of work. The proof of work requires miners to find a number called the nonce, such that when the block content is hashed along with the nonce, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right, the result is numerically smaller than the network difficulty target. Now, what is a nonce? In cryptography, a nonce is an arbitrary number that can only be used once. It is similar to a spirit. It is similar in spirit to a nonce word, hence the name. It is often a random or pseudo-random number issued in an authentication protocol to ensure that old communications cannot be reused in replay attacks. They can also be useful in initialization vectors and in cryptographic hash functions. Now the fucking internet always be trying to make shit complicated. Look, that's why I like being an urban nerd. I'm gonna keep this shit all the way 100 with y'all. All that shit means is that there is basically, damn, hold on. But yeah, it's basically like I said earlier, it's basically a secret, language that randomly creates numbers so that you can't use it twice. Basically, a easy example of that is like, how when you forget your password to one of your profiles, like your Facebook or your Twitter or some shit like that, and you have them send you a verification email so you can click confirm just to reset your password. Well, that little link that you click, and they be like, they usually says something like it'll expire in X amount of time or whatever. Well, it expires like that, so that way, if someone ever gets in your email, they can't try to hit that link to get in your profile to change around your information or, do whatever, or hack your profile or whatever. It's just something that expires really quick. It's, instant. I don't know why the internet, nerds always, try to make everything more complicated than it needs to be, but anyway, that's the basic spiel on Bitcoins. That's the basic workings of it. I'll probably be touching more on Bitcoins in future episodes or whatever, what have you. And, I think this is something interesting. Definitely as, 2008 comes in, the new year, I think I'll have I might have a little Bitcoin segment. So, every episode I might, I think I might just go ahead and start having a little info, a little update about Bitcoins or whatever. Hashtag nerd money. That's how we're going to make it work. But another thing I couldn't go through without episode 2 without also introducing is that I also I like to consider myself like an urban ghetto anthropologist type thing going on. You know what I mean? Like I love analyzing like the cultural and like subtle nuance differences and how each and every like type of people live, like, and of course in the general sense of how like how people in America live versus Europeans versus people in Asia versus people in Australia, like, and not in a negative light. I just love anthropology is the study of human beings, and that's one of the things I'm the most interested in. I think it's what drew me to being in stand-up comedy, because it's just awesome to be able to dive into those little things that make us all different, because that's honestly what draws us all together, is being able to look at that and be able to laugh at it. But I also like to look at it in a sense of like even on a more subsidiary version, where it's like if you ever notice places like Asia and Africa, they all have like different dialects of the same language. But then you go to like Australia and Europe, where pretty much everybody around there speaks that language more or less the same way, except that like I don't know about like, see, that's why I want to go to places so I can know if stuff like that, then when I say that is accurate, because I don't get to meet people I haven't met that many people yet from different places, well, that many different places enough to know. But definitely as an American, I could tell you that one of the things I do love is like how the culture breaks down even on the like most minuscule levels in like just everyday society. Like as an urban nerd, you know what I'm saying? I'm being from the big city, Atlanta, Georgia, the urban area, whatever you want to call it, the hood, the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? And people use them words so loosely because it's not all those words don't really mean like the same thing. But you gotta kind of be around in order to know about it, you know what I mean? So, I do kind of try to excuse people for being ignorant to stuff, because, coming from where I'm from, I be ignorant to a lot of stuff. So I be happy when people be patient with me when it comes to, breaking down how things work in other places. Like I love like seeing the difference between the stuff that happens in like the urban area, and then like that versus like the suburban life. And then that versus like living in more of a rural setting. Like those are the most interesting like little nuances to living, especially life in America, that I like to observe. And of course, you can't have that breakdown without throwing in something that it's America, so race is always involved. Me being a black guy, that has had an effect on the level like of experience that I have in life in general, and of course in this country, in this world, in America. And but that's just one facet. One of my other most favorite things to check out is like to notice is like nerd shit. Like that's why I started the Urban Nerd Weekly podcast, because I like that people don't really get that there's a bunch of different like types of nerds. Like there's computer nerds, and then within computer nerds, you have like some that are just like in the hardware, some that are just in the software, some that are just into like internet shit, you know what I'm saying? Like there's different types of computer nerds. Then you got like game nerds. Some nerds just love all the games. Like they'll play games on each system. Then you got certain people that's kind of like married to one type of console. Some people love Xbox, some people love PlayStation. And then some people love like computer games. Then you got your cartoon nerds, and that's one of the categories I feel like I fall the most into. Like the two categories I feel like I fall the most into, or three really, is cartoon nerd, music nerd, and I'm a food nerd. I'm a snacky. I love snacks. But as far as cartoons go, I'm like general. I love like all types of cartoons, and I feel like when I say cartoons, I feel like I gotta throw in the fact that comic books are something that I consider cartoons. They're not animated, but I do feel like comic books should be counted in the category of cartoons. So like comic book nerd, like I feel like cartoon nerds are really just kind of like disciples, if I was to give it a word, of comic book nerds, because back in the day, that's all there was. There was just comic, like, the grown-ups had books, And then when you were a kid, you got comic books to read to entertain yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why most newspapers have a comic section, just so, there's something like when you're reading a newspaper, you know, that classic old thing where dad's reading the newspaper and, Junior wants to be just like